All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are good to go into the grand final here of the Go4GuildWars2 monthly final. Let's jump into our first map, Forest, as we are already underway here in our first game in this best of three. Dan, let's take a look at how things are shaping up so far.
As we go over to the midpoint, we're going to see Sir Rom dipping into the mid on his lonesome actually, versus 4 members of the red team currently are going to be sizzling hot pressure. We are going to see support coming in from Freylina, who's going to be able to dip in and try and get some nice damage down to Drazi, who's going to be one of their main targets, being that main burst DPS source, of course, over on the mine. And we then have the 1v1 going on over there.
Yeah, Rom is actually going very, very low, trying to dart out of that situation, but he will end up falling into the downstate over at Keep here. So that does cause some problems for them. Tej is trying to help out for a second, but he's going to have to get out as well. There's so much damage actually being done in that location that the pursuit from Tej is actually doing quite a bit. But with Danchi actually being able to support him there, he will be okay for a little bit longer.
Wow. The damage that came from Hibify actually pulled him back with that toolkit number 5, of course, and actually got a nice pry bar off, which actually took off a good chunk of Tage's health there. Alcor as well, you know, over on this mine point, we've got that 2v2, which is still going down. We do have 1 cap each, but in the downstate, we have had Tage. Oh, we're going to see a banner coming out from Rom, as well as the res. Wow, a banner used for just the single target res, although Hibify, you know, was there to produce some cleaves, so maybe he just wanted to make sure he got up. Rom's gone up to the cap though, and we have some pressure down onto Tage. You've got to be careful here, just as Alcor starts to pursue him, but he's going to join Rom up on the point as well. And yeah, so it's not looking too bad. We do have 1 cap apiece, still 20 points or so in the mix between these 2 teams, but we've got a bit of a team fight going down over on the mine as well.
Yeah, over at Keep, there's Freylina actually trying to support and help out whilst all this fighting is going on, doing what they can there. And, well, it seems that Freylina is going to have to get out of that situation, cause himself a little bit of problem, and will end up falling into the downstate, as Cousins was able to do quite a bit of damage there to him and push him down.
Yeah, exactly, and now there's no one on the side of Orange Logo that's going to come to his rescue, unfortunately for him. So the rest of the guys are going to team up on the west side of the keep now. It looks like they're going to start to disengage. Tage doing so with that hammer. He's going to try and take out Karzez here. Yeah, very careful. He's going to... Oh, a nice immobilize there, but you got the stealth off, and Tage is just trying to cleave. But we are going to see Karzez actually dipping out there.
That was very, very close. The amount of damage that comes out from Tage after that judge's intervention and then just straight slamming down on him, it was very, very deadly. But mine is still going off in terms of a fight. Denshi is actually down in a bit of an awkward position, actually. So it's going to be difficult to really get him up, as Tage is on the way, en route to help on out, and he blows up Casses. This brutal stuff there from Tage.
Yeah, and Kaz is actually going to be able to get there. Just Tage just launching him off that rock into the rest of the red team members, but able to get that cleave out. And they are actually going to come out of this on top, actually. We saw the res of the engineer there as well. And mine's still going to be in that 1v1 situation, which they'll probably leave in the end, as Jigglypuff versus Eternia leaving some supportive characters out of the map at the moment. We are going to see that decap over on the henge from Alcor there. He's going to pick up that point as well. So Orange Logo probably need to try and pick up this midpoint. We have seen Drazid drop into the downstate just below the keep as well.
Everything being contested at the moment, so no points coming in at the moment, but there goes henge over to sizzling hot pressure here. Tage is still on the roam, on the pounce, looking for somebody to go for, as there is a fight over there. Jigglypuff will get out of that position and make sure he is totally fine there, with Kaz's trying to pursue down, but running into Tage is not the best of positions to be in.
Exactly, now Tage needs to try and reposition himself quickly over towards the henge. Of course, he's going for that pack rune, so he's not got a lot of speed there. Hipfire is going to go into the downstate. We see the drop of their banner, and that's going to bring him back straight away. Not really wasting any time there, because you know, if any poison or anything comes down onto his body, that will negate that res, of course. And Denchineer also got a lot of pressure onto him. He gets the knockback as well, as Eternia uses that updraft to make sure. Whoa, look at the res and the speed of that res as well. And he dodges out of that cleave, and he's going to be okay. Resing on both teams, probably on the side of Orange Logo, is a little bit more successful in their side at the moment.
And there we go. Rom is just trying to get out of position to make sure that he's not going to take too much more damage when he was being targeted down and during all of that, and will go back onto point here, putting on a bit of pressure there. But the problem is here for Orange Logo, they don't have a cap. They're not gaining any points. Jigglypuff is contending with Dresser on the other side of the map, whilst Henge is in a huge fight, and there's the cap on the mid, so triple cap coming out from Sizzling Hot Pressure, really bringing it to our WTS champions.
Yeah, indeed. This is really heavy for them at the moment, and Rom's very low. He goes into the downstate over there, and we're going to see the rally coming out there as the drop on Hibify happens over on the Henge. Unfortunate for those guys, because I do believe we did see the actual potential there of a nice stealth down, but unfortunately didn't happen in the end. With Alcor down, you know, they're probably going to start to lose this free cap very quickly, losing 2 players. We are going to see the respawn of Hibify coming out towards the mine now, so we need to see some support coming out for Jigglypuff. They don't want to lose him as well, and no one is really in that close position. Deshani knows now that he needs to try and move over towards that point, although he's starting to disengage just as Jigglypuff does so as well.
Yep, got out of there with his lightning flash.
Although, look.
And whoop.
He's actually gonna get the decap.
How did he manage that?
What? He's really, really good at these positions where he gets
Cheeky
into
guy.
this spot. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly it. And he's got that sufficient decap now. And over on the mid, we have seen Freylina go down. Looks like there's some potential cleave. He's trying to get the res as Rom and Tage, but Tage took a lot of damage in that. But also Karzez did. Look at this. The amount of separation that's come out of here from the blue team using that Ring of Warden. They're actually going to look at the res. Whoa, that was powerful. And Karzez uses that withdraw to get back out and then nips back onto the point just as we see that Ring of Warden coming out from Tage. And Karzez being really committed to that fight is going to go down here. Pause onto Node as well. But, you know, there's going to be a ton of cleave. He's going to be cleaved down. And we're going to see the rest of the red team members maybe fall here as well. Drazi goes into downstate. Tage is really low as well. Freylina is in the downstate below Keep. But just as we see that happen, the banner comes out for him. And the good thing Rom's around, really, because, you know, dropping that banner right at the right time.
Everyone was taking a ton of damage there, but in the end, able to come out on top here at Orange Logo, also getting the cap on the midpoint potentially here. But Hibify is on the way to deny that from actually continuing on. They are sending at least Denchinier back to actually keep an eye on Henge for a moment, making sure that that's not going to go down at all. And then over at Mines, what do we have going on? Looks like Jigglypuff's going to have to get out of there, but Tage is on the way, so potentially he could turn things around over there.
Yeah, Tage definitely can. I mean, if Karzez is out of position by a touch, Tage is probably going to punish him for that really badly. And also, you know, vice versa there. So Alcor and Jigglypuff going to be left there on that point to just square away and see what's going to happen between those guys. And actually, Orange Logo are now picking up all the kills, really. I mean, all the kills are going in their favour, to be fair, in the last 2 or 3 minutes.
And all
ever
the
since
points.
those caps. Yeah, exactly. All the caps now.
Yeah.
So both teams switching over quite nicely. Orange Logo maybe just needing to sit back and just look at it a bit differently and adjust their rotations and their focus targets.
Alcor will hold on at the Mines for now, but with 2 down, Hibify and Eternia are having a bit of a difficult trial ahead of them in the midpoints over here. Going to be left to bled out, basically, as the other players, they're being so heavily pressured. That being said, Kazas, once again, is getting himself that Henge decap, but at what cost? Because at the other side of the map, I mean, the Mines is going to go into the favor here of Orange Logo.
Surely it must do. I mean, Alcor's still going. It's interesting to see that even with, you know, so many, well, almost half the team out of this fight, that the red team still were able to pick up the decap and the recap. That's, I guess, their morale hasn't been, you know, downtrodden yet just by those kills and whatnot. So their sustainability to come back into the map and actually, you know, still conquer and still do okay is there, even with 2 or 3 members left to try and get that back.
I mean, one thing's for sure here, sizzling hot pressure work as a cohesive unit very, very well, considering their inception and considering how they've been able to play over the past month or so, especially. So, admittedly, bringing quite a good fight here to Orange Logo to start things off in this game. But Orange Logo have stabilized. They've got themselves the 2 cap. They're trying to rival Mine Node here as well. If they could get that, that'd be fantastic for them, because Kazas is still out of this fight at the moment. So it is still that 5-on-4, but Rom is going quite low. Has to find himself a bit of safety on this left-hand side.
Yeah, that's good movement from him. So he'll just probably use that. Actually, Dresses is trying to get some nice focus target damage, and as well as we go into his perspective, Rom starts to actually distance himself as well. Needs to try and be a bit careful himself. We're going to see a couple of members dropping into that blue team's Shadow Refuge there as Rom starts to go very low. Oh, using that second sword ability. Look at that.
Run away!
He really ditches the point there really well, and Alcor doesn't actually continue that pressure on him. Probably wants to stay in support. Jigglypuff is going to drop into the downstate. Tage is very low as well. They've got to be careful here. They can't go for that potential res, and actually we're going to see Jigglypuff just Vapor Form outside the node and gets brought back in and knocked all over the shop.
Do you think this was an overcommitment? I mean, they had Henge, they had Keep. Do they really need to fight over mine here?
Not so much. I mean, it's helped them to actually keep it real, but you know, as in terms of keeping contested, so keep it real. But you know, over on the
we're not gangster rappers here.
Yeah. I don't know. I think Denshi maybe.
Oh, maybe. Yeah.
But they managed to flip it up and actually go over towards the Henge and get that D cup. So they retreated. Not really losing so many members there too much, and you know they've actually benefited in the end, keeping their lead, which is actually at the moment 100 points.
Yeah.
They really did steam ahead with that 2 cap.
Only 4 minutes in at the moment, 1 cap each. Actually, the cap for Sizzling Hot Pressure actually gets dropped completely with the D cap from Jigglypuff there on the right side over to mine, and the Henge is being contested, goes over to Orange Logo again. So the WTS champions looking to rally back and do very, very well, although Hibify got the D cap in mid over at Keep with Rom and Freeling having a bit of a hard time catching up, and Kaz is going to have to get out of that position because those two will be able to make mincemeat of him if he's not careful.
I mean, we haven't really seen Sizzling Hot Pressure kind of be manhandled in these fights at all tonight, you know, and it's at the moment they can't handle it. They're really losing out on these team fights and the different skirmishes that are going on to a degree, and you know, Orange Logo are pulling out, they're reassembling, and they're just attacking a different node. Focusing on the nodes, they don't even care, seemingly, about the caps when they're around. They're just focusing on those kills, then coming back into the map, getting a powerful 2 to 3 cap, and then actually just holding that and, you know, smashing it into the lead, which is what's happened. They've bounced off that 2 cap, they've kept it almost with at least 1 node ticking in their favor.
Trez is down here over at Keep, and now they have no points coming in. And with only 3 minutes left on the board, how are you supposed to make this comeback? Unless they get 2 caps and deny a cap for a long, long time, even the 3 cap coming out, which would be so important. There's no way. 2 cap now here for Orange Logo. Mine is trying to be contested over here as well, and unless Alcor as well as Kaz are able to do something, if Rom rotates around here, this is going to be very, very hard for them.
Yeah, it's not really doable at the moment, to be fair. Like you said, there's a couple of different things. The fact that Hibify's just died as well isn't massively beneficial, and all they need to do really is just jump over to a boss kill, and that will be the end of that. So there's too many options for Orange Logo at the moment to win. We got 9 or so points left. It's really the game, and that's the 3 cap, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah, there you go. Orange Logo taking game number 1 in this grand final best of 3, and looking good whilst doing it as well. We had a very, very cool start there from Sizzling Hot Pressure, but weren't able to keep that momentum going. Nick, do you think that there were points there where Sizzling Hot Pressure would be able to kind of continue that on, or what really happened there?
Well, what happened was that definitely in the beginning, this game went full on for HOT. They had it under control. They actually won the team fights. We always saw like good AoE cleave from the side of Orange Logo, but always with some sacrifices on their part. Like Frelina going down in the cleave, just over committal to getting it down there. And then once we had the 2-point cap established for Orange Logo, that all fell apart. They kind of tried to do something for a long time. The D caps from Kazer kind of kept them in the game, kept the point difference low. He really was on that. But the question is, did that really help them that much? It might have kept them, it might have prolonged the match, but would a Kaze in a team fight maybe have swung something there?
Or the defensiveness of the Shadow Refuge as well, bringing that in to help. And actually, you know, I think that's a good point, because, you know, it's the... They were missing a lot towards the, you know, a couple of minutes in. I think we found that, you know, Orange Logo just switched it up just like that, and they just completely flipped it. They got some awesome kills. They got some nice little wipes. They got that 2 cap, and they really switched the game up from there. And they never really came back, so they could just grab the 1 node, they could come back into the game, and it was quite comfortable for them. It didn't feel as if they were struggling massively, but they just didn't even care about the caps. So Kaze's going for the caps was almost, you know, like you say, not really that beneficial for Sizzling Hot Pressure because he was out of the fights.
By the way, just what is it with Orange logo and comebacks? Why do they always give up so much in the first couple of minutes and afterwards just control the game?
I think that they have the consistency, right? Whenever I see them playing, of course, there is those small moments where they do actually fall behind at the start or whatever, but they never really lose their composure too much.
Nope.
They're constantly able to get these kills wherever they need them. Their team fight is usually extremely powerful as well. So it's really cool to see them actually able to keep that kind of composure.
They just seem to thrive under the pressure. I think I can really imagine, especially after the WTS, Rom being in TeamSpeak and really saying, guys, come on, or lads in his...
It's more than likely that, yeah.
We need to keep this going, come on, a bit more.
He's quite an eccentric fellow, which I think actually makes for a good characteristic in a leader, because as much as... some people could see it as very, very kind of flamboyant or whatever. Regardless of that, he's able to put power behind his voice and really kind of rally his troops to his side. So I think that's something that is cool about Rom. He is quite... I mean, I only just met Rom at WTS or whatever, and he was quite the character and quite the chirpy guy. So that was a lot of fun actually meeting all these guys.
Yeah, exactly. You're dead on about Rom as well, because he's got the focus. He pulls them together and puts them. He just puts that focus into the light, and he's just saying, guys, we won this, but we've got to keep rolling over. We've got to keep dominating the match. We've got to keep winning. We can't just be like, yeah, okay, we got some kills, nice one. Let's just carry on, because you can't do that against teams like Sizzling Hot Pressure, because they'll, they take you out, and they'll just use that to their advantage as well. You get too much positivity, it's not a good thing. You need to keep level-headed, chill, be like, yeah, okay, how are they going to move back into the map? Are we going to be able to actually counter this movement? And like I said, almost to a degree where they don't actually care about the capped points, which is where we're going now in Guild Wars 2.
Although, one thing about that, I've noticed in the last game, as we start the next game, pretty much, let's just say they were not that much focused on getting the kills in general, but more on getting the kills on the point. So a bit of a different approach to that.
That's true. All right, let's get into it then. Game number 2 on the way here in our Go4GuildWars2 monthly final, grand final between Sizzling Hot Pressure and Orange Logo. Let's jump into game number 2 now on Fofire. As obviously, as you can see on our overlay, Orange Logo with that lovely little star next to their name, they are the WTS champions, and thus they get a little sticker for their efforts. Congratulations, Orange Logo.
Indeed, so as we jump into the mid, Karzes we're going to see is going to be stealthed up, wants to try and nip onto Tage, taking him out quite quickly. And, well, wanting to take him out quickly, but not kind of working there, unfortunately, and actually reversing it over onto Karzes.
They've got to play like their life depends on it to Sizzling Hot Pressure at the moment here, because they are 1 game down. There's a lot of money on the line, but they've got to play as if they're all about to win a Shatterer statue, because that's what it's all about here in Guild Wars 2. They're trying to contest this midpoint. Waterfall has already gone over to Orange Logo.
Oh, what happened to Freylina there? I think he just got caught by a little bit of cleave, actually, and went down.
Just a bit. It's obvious also very important to know that Drazes has actually switched over to the Ranger again because he's so confident on it on this map, but I don't think Orange Logo are going to give it as much room as the other teams have been in the past couple of games.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, we've seen there's a couple of kills here. They're trying. They're not really getting much focus up on Drazes, are they? I mean, I think Freylina tried, but they need to think about this. I mean, they're actually sustaining not too badly, just as I say that, of course. Then she goes down, and now Rom. And this is what's happening again. We didn't see people picking up him before. 55 HP Monks, I'm thinking about, and also TTG. But now Kaz is able to get that decap over on the Waterfall as well. As soon as the kills come out, it's very important. As soon as you start to outnumber, as soon as you start to get the benefit, start to go into the rest of the map and pick up those caps.
Yeah, properly strong opportunity there for them to do a very, very good start here on game number 2. Also, it's still being contested here is the Graveyard point by both teams. Tage actually took a lot of damage from Drazes up at the top, but Jigglypuff has closed the gap on him, but Alcor is also there to support against Jigglypuff as well. So Drazes always constantly exploiting this location. Hippify is actually taking a lot of damage as well, but kudos to Drazes for actually getting the damage done as it going very, very low as Freylina, and he will fall again.
Yeah, I mean, that's what that's the important thing, isn't it? And Nick said it before, is about the, coming back and making sure that you're going to defend those people who are so valuable, especially in these situations. And look, Drazis is just punishing Freylina when he's unstealthed and can just, in open ground, can just take him out. But the thing is, then they didn't actually punish and go for that down there. Freylina needs to be very careful. He's had to use his heal, and he's going to use that Shadow Refuge just in a defensive manner there to make sure that he can get out and get a little bit of healing for himself. And they've actually managed to take down Drazis here.
Oh, but there's a lot of cleave potential here available to them. Tage has gone down whilst all that's going on, and now we're seeing Drazis back up again. So Rom is also quite low, trying to get out, I guess, the pull off and on in the moment. They're going to pick him up.
Yeah, I mean, that banner just saved the day. That's how important that survivability is. And Hibify using, just to note that he's actually gone for the Elixir S now to get those downs because of that extra damage that's coming up and that extra survivability that he does indeed need. And Jigglypuff in the downstate also with Rom out of the game. So this is not looking too good for Orange Logo, but look awesomely well for Hot.
The runaway from Drazis back into his own fort and just runs away all the way back to keep himself alive. Yeah, I guess it does all right. Jigglypuff has gone down in midpoint, and Denshi is going to have to retreat away from Quarry. Back into an SI here from Freylina to keep himself alive for now. That's a lot of damage, though, regardless. Oh, my God. Bye-bye, Denshi.
It's the problem with Shadow Refuge, I mean, if it's placed down, it's great, you're in stealth, but the thing is, it gives you a great target area to be like, yeah, okay, well, we know where to focus. But unfortunately, Red Team haven't actually... Oh, I was about to say they haven't picked up the kill on him there, because we did see the attempted res, but unfortunately, that's not going to happen. Freylina now needs to try and get out of here and escape, but maybe they're thinking about it. And she just goes out there, so not anymore. Tage getting quite low himself over towards the waterfall point. And Orange Logo, very different game here. They're not able to really counter Drazis that much.
They haven't gained traction. They are just not gaining traction on this map at all. It's a really hard time. 2-cap at the moment. There's the potential even for a 3-cap, as Kazas is going to be able to pick up the waterfall as well. And oh my God. I mean, this could be our third game here. This could very easily be our third game unless we see Orange Logo mount one of their fantastic comebacks as they usually actually do.
I was going to say, yeah, the likelihood of that, we know, but like the 3-cap on this map is really tough. Then she might be able to start it by getting this D-cap over on the Quarry as well. As we see mid not really being bothered at all. Hibify is over there, and he can actually just join to try and take out potentially Jigglypuff here. We are going to see that rotation from Drazis out as Hibify just throws a ton of damage down. Just going to check his build to see if he is running that Rabbit still. He's not. He's gone back to Celestial Engineer, so more sustained, but still able to take out Jiggly. And then Drazis just comes in from the side and just drops some longbow damage on him. So slowly again, we're seeing Orange Logo members being taken out, and almost 200-point lead goes in favor of Hot.
And I must say, as much as we saw Urantian do so well in WTS, look at how well Drazis is doing on this map. Constantly piling on the pressure every single time. It's very, very strong play. Very strong play.
We talk about him a lot, don't we?
We do, but that's because he right now is like the focal point.
Focus, yeah.
He is doing so much work, and nobody's really able to close the gap with him. And when they do, there is support there for him every single time. Alcor is normally there to actually help out and really cause them a lot of problems.
And as soon as Orange Logo get a cap, look what happens. I mean, Antonio goes and gets the D-cap, they get punished for leaving that open, and that's the successful way their team is working. Drazis goes down there, a nice knockback comes out from Tage, so that's good. But the thing is, we are going to see Denshiner dropping quite low himself, so they need to be careful here. Oh, he did actually do okay. So Red Team probably going to start bailing, although Hibify is stuck there. Alcor, in his perception, is just going to bail and actually leave probably Hibify to maybe hold the cap for as long as he possibly can. He's going to try and start to bail now. I mean, the good thing is here, he's near his spawn, so I can just drop into there, and he's going to be completely safe. So Blue Team aren't going to actually pursue him any further.
Well, 8 minutes on the clock now. We need to see Orange Logo pick up some of these points. Quarry has been taken, but at the same time, Eternia over on the other side of the map picks up Waterfall, and unless they send over maybe 2 people to really deal with that, it's going to be hard to pull it on back. But Eternia is going to abandon that location for now. Freylina has fallen in mid here, but there goes the banner to try and pick him up and keep this fight going.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just wondering. I mean, Alcor didn't use his banner up there to get his teammate up, so they're going to benefit. They're going to benefit the next team fight, which is good. If you can hold on to that banner and try and get the res, which wasn't possible for Freylina there, then it's going to be great. But Freylina now is going to bail, of course, and try and get that decap. But Eternia is going to get back. Oh, he got the decap! Cheeky decap there for Freylina, but he's going to need to leave and potentially go back to mid. Maybe swapping out with someone with more sustain to try and keep that contested. But they still need to get that decap in mid, which is always so tough to get, and they need to watch out for that back point, which is actually the back point of red team if they do die and respawn.
Hibify goes down, and it's going to be hard to really pick him up in the midst of this chaos, but Denshi is right next to him falling as well, so they're not going to rally around Hibify, but at the same time, Denshi able to get up and continue on with this fight, even going straight to Waterfall as he gets up and trying to contest that location.
Yeah, I'd say at the moment this is probably going to be going towards Sizzling Hot Pressure, just because we're at 400 points now, and Orange Logo are really not coming into this game at the moment. I mean, they're just starting to. Eternia is in the downstate in Vapor form over on the Waterfall, so we're going to see a decap potentially there, as then she knocks him off with that rifle number 4. Over on mid, potentially if they can get Alcor, the kill on Alcor maybe, I mean Karzez is down, maybe they can get some cleave, but the thing is they've had to leave that quarry and be desperate to go and get that mid node, and now Hibify can free cap over on the quarry.
Yeah, I mean, if they're able to get something like a 3-cap over here, something like that, maybe that could help out, but it's going to be very difficult. Alcor's actually fallen as well, off point. So somehow, some way, Orange Logo always managed to get the kills at the very end and get themselves some caps under their belt, but it's very, very late in the game now, very late.
Yeah, I mean, it's all good, like, doing what they're doing at the moment. If we go into the map, we can see that Orange Logo are pushing because, they want to pressure that, but now they need to look after their back points. So what they have to do is they now have to keep all the map control for, like, what, 200 or so points, 240 points, which is difficult, I mean, we are going to see Karzez going over towards the Waterfall. Well, he's going to probably get that decap there as well, in all fairness to him. But now, because Denshi's done that, he's going to get the decap over on mid. Unless, Jigglypuff moves into mid, so he counted that movement. So good communication from those guys. But, I mean, blue team are actually getting the kills over here. If they're getting the kills and they can get the decap quite soon, it's still possible.
Because, unfortunately, Sizzling Hot Pressure find themselves in a situation now where they have to keep sending people in to try and get the force or make sure that the decap doesn't happen over here on their close home point. But it's very, very close to being decapped, actually. And they're trying to kill him off, and they will be able to pick him up eventually. Hibify on the edge of this is going crazy. If they get... there's no way. Surely, there's no way.
Good grief.
Please.
This is insane.
Please, Dan, please.
Oh, well, they need to be careful here on quarry. It's possible, because look at the way they're moving. I swear, this is absolutely ridiculous, because Orange Logo have rotated so well right now.
Please.
That it's unbelievable free cap.
Please.
Free caps just happened.
This can't continue, surely.
I mean, this is absolutely unbelievable that they covered Karzez's movement between the Waterfall and also the mid. But then now, it's just seeing that click there. They are indeed probably going to push to the Lord. So maybe they'll leave the thief out. Maybe they'll use it as a distraction tactic. But also, Orange Logo can go for the Lord kill.
I think they feel as
soonish.
If they can't hold on to the 3-cap forever, right?
Yeah.
I think they may end up thinking that the Lord Rush is their only go-to in this, because holding a 3-cap forever, I mean, mid is already gone. They're still gaining a lot of points here with the 2-cap, so 20 more points here for them to potentially try and do something with that. But Karzez is also going down to the quarry looking for the decap. Nobody's going to be able to deny him there at all. And I'm still holding it in my mind that there's no way that they can come back. This is crazy at the moment.
Yeah, mid's not a good cap for them to lose, to be fair. Quarry's easier to decap than mid, so mid would have been the option to actually keep rather than bailing so far off point. And it's kind of a shame that, we didn't see that massive comeback, because actually...
Well, here they go.
Here we go. Oh, they're going to go for it. They're going to go for the Lord Rush. They're going to have to be really quick here.
Yeah.
Olafay 5 points. Maybe someone will nip back out onto the map. Look at Freylina. He's doing it now. He's going back into the mid. Is he going to be stealthed, though, to actually get that from Hibify? Yeah, he's going to be stealthed, but Hibify knows.
Rush is their only choice. I really do. I mean, Jigglypuff is taking a lot of damage already before they even get there, though. So this is a big problem for them.
This is not going to be a successful Lord push, surely.
No, they're trying. They're trying desperately. They are getting there. They're still pretty healthy, but Kazas is waiting there to try and deal with this. Red Lord has now been engaged. Shadow Refuge is there as well to try and help this out. A lot of damage being pushed onto this Lord, but it's not really doing a whole lot.
They've got 17 points. Yeah, exactly. They're sustained on him at the moment. There's some damage coming out now, though. I mean, not enough burst. They need a decap mid.
They're all going to fall. There's no way. Rom is low, Jigglypuff's low, Tage is low as well. They all fall into the downstate. Red Lord is totally healthy. That was their one last shot. GG, game number 2 goes over to Sizzling Hot Pressure. But what an attempt at mounting a comeback there from Orange Logo. Somehow, some way, they always manage to find themselves in these ridiculous situations near the end of the game.
Yeah, exactly. And to a degree, almost just as people were starting to fall, maybe they could have sent someone back into the map to actually decap. But, you know, they were so close to winning anyway. I'm not sure that would have been massively beneficial in the long run. And I didn't see the timer there as well, actually. So it could have been close to that. But, you know, they had to go for it. And to be fair, didn't think they were going to come back. But the comeback kings did not come back at that time.
Yeah, they tried, but unfortunately failed. Nick, what do you make of it? They didn't come back in that one, but it was kind of close.
I'm just sitting here smiling and enjoying some good PvP. I mean, that orange logo, really, guys? Come on.
It's as if they do it intentionally.
How about the first couple of minutes of a game?
Yes,
apparently not that interested in that, but the comeback potential there, that was just... We had one death, if I remember correctly, on the waterfall. Then from there on, push to mid. The snowball ability, as we like to call it, of this map is just ridiculous. Get the kill on Elko. Get the kill on Kaze. Overcommittal from Elko on the res. Blows all his cooldowns, and then afterwards just the push to Quarry. We actually saw Kaze trying to get the decap, therefore forcing them to pull out of Quarry, but they were still in a 3v3 because Elko was on respawn. And then that 3v3 was so dominant for Orange Logo that they managed to get 2 kills before Elko even managed to get there again. Afterwards, the 3 kept really standing and no way in from Sizzling Hot Pressure. They were just as a loss as to where to go. Hadn't they had built up that much of a lead before, there would have been no chance at that point.
I mean, that's the thing, isn't it? I mean, and also the coverage and the communication when Denshi had to go over towards Waterfall to recap the point, and then coming back, that we saw Jigglypuff going into mid. Still can't get used to that name. It's just weird. You just imagine imagine some kind of Pokemon just jumping in, and you know, just covering those nodes well, because I was convinced, you know, that he was going to do that classic movement, you know, forcing someone to move over towards the side node so that the thief can then go to the mid to decap the most important point, but then saw Jiggly move towards the mid, and then the rest of the team, like you said, winning that 3v3. And still able to sustain that fight without their Elementalist and win it was just unbelievable. So, you know, that comeback was good, but it wasn't good enough in the end.
I actually had that in mind. Kind of, okay, the beginning doesn't really look good. We always see the same opener, by the way. 2-point engage from HOT, 3-point engage from Orange, trying to get really the early lead by the first cap and keep the enemy point contested. And then I thought, no, as soon as they get to close to 300, there's always the Lord option.
Yeah.
They're not going to get a comeback. But they were so lost in the map control that Orange offered.
Expect the unexpected from Orange Logo. Although, actually, they're kind of expected to come back now. So it's what do you expect now?
They're expected to lose the first couple of minutes of the game and then somehow, some way, get a triple cap and then try something utterly crazy from that point on.
And then just play out of their skins and the best GuildWars2 PvP you can see. And then, although in that game we saw, you know, Sizzling Hot Pressure deal with it. But now we're going to see the first Kylo map of the night and the last Kylo map of the night, because this is definitely the last game of the February finals.
That's true, last game of the day here, which means that it's 1-1 at the moment here between Sizzling Hot Pressure and Orange Logo, our current reigning, pretty much world champions from the WTS.
They definitely.
And Sizzling Hot Pressure, the amount of results that they've gathered themselves over the past month or two, and then actually coming into this series now, into the monthly final, and really giving Orange Logo a good run for their money. Really impressive stuff. I know it's a little bit down the line, but I personally can't wait for the next WTS qualifier.
I was literally just thinking the same thing.
Yeah, because
I was literally thinking that.
Europe will get 2 teams.
Yep.
And it's going to be crazy. It's actually going to be insane. There's the potential, in my mind, there is the potential that you could actually see 2 European teams in the grand final of WTS.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. And it's going to, I think there's a possibility, and again, you know, down the line, whether or not these guys are going to be together. I'm talking more about the French guys who change their name constantly and have some tiny little lineup changes. Whether or not they're going to actually still be here. And I actually think that it might be these 2 teams. Not discounting the other teams. There's obviously time for things to change. But, you know, I think it might be these 2 guys. And it's, you know, eyes into the future.
With how they look right now, can't really argue that too much. Can't really argue that. And, you know, when it came to the previous WTS and how Abjurd were having that kind of problem with the Orange Logo, the competitive scene here in Europe is very deep. We've seen that time and time again, not only in our weeklies, but going into our monthly as well, with teams like 55 HP Monks, the previous TCG with their less fluctuating roster, Orange Logo, now Sizzling Hot Pressure. These 4 teams really stand out as very, very strong contenders, and we're seeing that in the final here now, with Sizzling Hot Pressure doing very, very good. So hopefully all these guys are good to go, because Dresser is going to have a hard time playing in about 30 minutes time.
Yes, so we do want to try and get.
We have some room. I mean, 50 minutes is the maximum time.
True.
But yeah, I have to say, next monthly, I want to see Salt in there. Salt, not players being salty. I want to see Your Goose is Cooked, the team.
Okay.
They had a surprise victory against 55 in the last Go4 weekly. So I definitely want to see those guys stick together. And in terms of the French guys sticking together, come on, with this success rate, how can you split?
They would be silly not to.
You can work through some problems if you have them.
Yeah, if you have in-team like disputes or anything like that, with how they're playing right now, put that aside, because there is the potential that you can win a lot of money with this. So, and glory, of course. That's pretty cool, too. Anyway, game is starting. Game number 3 here in this grand final between Sizzling Hot Pressure and Orange Logo. So let's jump into things here as we get things going. Dan, take it away.
Okay, we're going to see Eternia going over towards the close point for his side, as well as Denchinier. We are going to see a bit of an engage, maybe a stealth move coming out from Tage and also Freylina as I go into a bit of a random camera angle there. SR is going to be used. They're going to launch themselves. Actually, Rom's going to do the early initial engage there to try and make sure that the point is contested still. And then they should be able to come in here with a nice amount of burst. Bang, he's down.
Brilliant casting there, Dan.
That was just, that was just insane. I was trying to hype it up, but he was just dead.
It was like Sillet Bang, man.
It was just absolutely dead.
Well, great stuff. Yep, he's down. And elsewhere on the map, Cassis is going to be able to pick up Mansion, and we have a little bit of fighting over at Courtyard. I didn't mean to call you out on that. It was just the funniest thing in my world there at that moment in
I'm
time.
very tired. Today's been ridiculous.
Don't choke too much. Jess. All right, well, Denchinier actually pushing them off Mansion there for a second, and actually able to rival that pretty well with Tage coming in as well to be able to do a little bit of damage on his side of things. So Cassis has got to be careful. Shadow Rush has gone down for him to actually keep himself alive.
Yeah, just skirting on the edge of that Shadow Refuge there as well. Denchi's got to be really careful because if Karzes re-engages here, I was about to say he's going to take out Denchinier, but he goes down with no chance of getting rezzed as the rest of the team starts to disengage from that point. We are going to see the 2-cap coming out from Orange Logo. Strong start of 50 points versus 5 at the moment, but they should be able to get that point. Still, Denchinier's only just gone down, so still getting a nice amount of points ticking. But we are going to see actually Jigglypuff looking after the windmill a little bit maybe more than usual now as they start to be a little bit more defensive here. and actually just rally their troops, because Tage is actually quite low himself. We are going to see numerous members of the red team coming in here now as well. I just wanted to dip over to Drazzy to check what he's playing. He's still on he's back on DPS guard now, and Hibify dropping low himself. We're going to see Drazzy trying to drop on Tage. Wow, that sight from coming up the stairs and seeing your Tage so low and then just jumping the way he did was epic. That was such great movement and foresight from him and the team that might actually be able to take this midpoint.
There had to be a straight assist there for him to actually get on Tage that quickly, because that was really, really well done. And also, one thing that's cool here about what Sizzling Hot Pressure's doing is they're actually keeping Tage pretty well locked down during all of these things, as he does provide a lot of burst damage. Drazzy is playing this Guardian build just as well as Tage is, I would say.
Oh yeah, indeed. I mean, Drazzy's probably, I mean, let's just check his build quickly to make sure he's still running that Traveler's Rune. He's going to get the decap as well here. He's being beastly, isn't he? He's doing doing a lot of different roles. He's getting the decaps now as well as performing well with that nice burst damage. Unfortunately, you know, I'm not sure he's the best person to go for that, because he's being so effective. He's just going to pick up the decap low and go back onto Wars Alcor here. But just, you know, as he goes far away, he's actually going to be very offensive here, dropping in a ton of damage down. Look at that ring of warding coming out from Drazzy there to try and get the escape. And potentially thinking about going for the res there. Needs to be careful himself. Does have his heal and his renewed focus up there. And also Rom is on node. Maybe Drazzy can get some nice burst and think about potentially going for a down himself. But Rom starts to get some actual defense here from Tage and Freylin coming in. They're trying to take Hibify now. Really low targets potentially on the side of red.
Regardless of all that, though, we're still seeing a big cushion of points here for Orange Logo on the other side of things. So that is going to help them a lot, obviously, with almost 100 points in it. Drazzy is going to fall into that down state. Kazas is actually having to run away on the other side of the map, hope for actually on top of the clock tower, and that being out of the fight for that long does cause some issues, because at the moment we're still seeing Orange Logo doing okay with the potential of them picking up Windmill soon.
Yeah, I mean, over here at the moment, we're seeing quite a lot of punishment, and they need to think about potentially getting Rom up, you know. That's a big issue. You can see Tage coming out with a Hammer 4 again as well. Rom is, you know, well and truly okay at the moment. And I mean, well, that's because he's just Vengeance, so they need to make sure they get the kill on him, but knocking him back ain't going to help. He's going to run out of Vengeance soon. Oh, no! He rallied from that Vengeance. No way! The luck of the Irish as he brings out that accent. I've heard it a couple of times, and now they're going to bounce off that. That was, you know, that when that happens, RNG, you know, for the win. I mean, it was, you know, that's really beneficial, and that's the risk you make to come out of Vengeance, to come into Vengeance, to get the kill, to rally, and really, literally a couple of seconds and he would have gone down, and that would have ended completely differently. And that's the kind of play that really makes the difference, and the kind of choices between teams often, especially at this time in the game.
They lost a lot of people, and that means that there's potential for the 2-cap here, although Drazzy was very, very quick onto Courtyard. Trebuchet is actually coming in from red side here by the looks of things, so got to be a little bit careful at this stage as he takes a shot to the face by the looks of things. Didn't quite dodge that. Big damage coming out from him there for a second, and he's going to have to get out there and heal up.
Yeah, Frey needs to, someone needs to think about, whoa, again, as Denshin tries to disengage. He actually gets hit right on the head with that Treb as well, and those fiery balls of death do wreak havoc. And also, Denshin does get a ton of damage on himself, so needs to be careful here. He actually got him up, and he's going to survive here. He's got his heal back up as well, jumping onto Frey as well as he's trying to escape. Currently, he's just Drazzy is all over the place at the moment. He's on different targets. He's going for decaps. He's being effective everywhere. Eternia is doing a great job of trying to defend the mansion at the moment, keeping contested. With that mid cap, we're going to see Red Team coming back slowly into this game. Only just 9 minutes now left on the map, so plenty of time to hit that 500. And Red Team are going to pick up a free cap over on the Windmill.
Rom is in a bit of trouble as well, having to dart around, and he has to have to use Fear Me to try and get out of the situation, because Hibify will just not let him go. But he can get out of there for a second. He needs the support of a teammate, really, but he's so far out in an obscure location that it's hard to find any of his teammates at the moment that are all focused on points.
Look at Rombo. He's always perfect dodging. He dodged that net from the rifle, uses all of the this man is a legend, isn't he, really, as a warrior. His positioning, actually, to be fair, every single time I see a Shout Boy warrior this high-end tier, they're always really good with their movement. The same as we saw Knight the other day, and just other guys that are just so good. Alcor as well. Their positioning, their knowledge of the map, where to line of sight. And look at that! They reversed it completely onto Kaziz, but they need to make sure they take him down now after Rom's been legging it around so much. And now Kaziz goes down, and indeed, the rally comes up.
He's up 3 down here for Sizzling Hot Pressure, as they really now have a lot of room to make up, because there is the potential for a few caps coming out here from Orange Logo. They get on top of Hibify as well here to Rom and Freeline, and I can't believe Rom was able to survive during all of that. He dodged net after net after net and just never let it go.
I mean, what happened as well is the fact that, you know, because he was escaping and using that to his advantage, it was line of sight, and the rest of the DPS crew could come in from behind and completely take them unawares, you know, because they were focusing, really like 2 guys trying to focus down Rom, and then you can just come in from behind, get some nice burst down, and they just don't know what's happening because they're so focused on Rom. They're like, yeah, he's down to about 5% HP, we could take him. No.
Nope,
Didn't
not
happen,
at all. Turnier's going to fall into the down state. Here comes Alcor to try and help out over at the mansion node, and really needs to keep himself alive and contesting this point for a while. Although that being said, Clock Tower did go and get decapped over there. So Orange Logo aren't gaining as many points as they would have done before, but Drazia's going to fall over here at the windmill as well. So Orange Logo are still playing very, very well. 150 point cushion is very nice.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, Denchinier can sustain quite well versus Guardian, as long as he kind of negates the burst that comes in. You know, he's got to wait for his cooldowns to come back to get that initial burst damage back into the fight, and then, you know, that rotation is not going to come in for a while. Hibify is going to pick up mid point, potentially doing a nice job at netting Rom there and then knocking him back. But Denchinier, oh, nice dodge from Hibify. 1 tick off getting the cap on the point, but look again. Orange Logo doing what they did in the first game of this series and getting some nice kills around the map, which is really where it's at the moment, especially in this kind of map where it's really more about conquest than anything else, to be fair, and getting those caps. They're using those kills to their advantage and, of course, just bouncing off that, getting the nodes, and now we actually might see a free cap even.
Yeah, we may. They already lost Alcor, they lost Kazers, their Turnier's only just rezzed up. It's
sensing a GG.
Pretty brutal at this point, sensing a GG. Well, they're going to try and fight out for a little bit longer.
Mid. Perfect example.
What happened?
One of them can stick on the node and cap it. They don't want to, now they're going to. Okay. But they could just they just wanted the kill.
There you go.
You know?
It's the 3 cap, and Drezzer at the moment is also taking quite a lot of damage. Tej is chasing him down. He's got to be very, very careful, that DPS Guardian versus DPS Guardian, as Drezzer is looking for the help of his friends. The Turnier is there to try and give him some kind of support, but...
Drezzer survived quite well there, actually. And he's got his heal back up as well, jumping into perspective of Hibify as he's down. Alcor trying to get that wrist furiously, trying to get him up, but it's not going to happen. Aww. There's so much cleave there, and really, I mean, 2 cap coming out, and looks like we've got the GG coming out from the red team.
It seems like Drezzer's DC'd, unfortunately, there. So it is GG, and it is 2-1 here for Orange Logo, able to be victorious here in the final of the Go4GuildWars2 monthly final. So Orange Logo continue to look strong. Even if the disconnect hadn't have happened, Orange Logo was still in a pretty dominant position, I would say. What do you think, Nick, there?
Yeah, at that point, it didn't really matter.
Yeah.
I mean, Dan sensed the GG a little bit early for my taste, but yeah,
that's pretty. I don't know. It's like 30 seconds afterwards. Yeah, it was. The game was dominated by that point. You got the 2 cap. You keep getting those kills, and it was that situation, you know, when we saw TCG coming in with like 4 men, and you could tell just by the way it was going. You know, they had to keep bailing off the reses, and you could just feel it. You know, and then the DC came, and it kind of just rolled on, I guess.
I think pretty often Sizzling Hot Pressure played into Orange Logo's favor, because I kind of thought that they had a good chance in the team fights, but Hot kept on splitting on 3 points. They kept on moving from point to point, sometimes with good results, good decaps, safe decaps especially. By the way, I like to point out, it is ridiculous with what kind of stuff Kazer gets away. Plays he's really in situations where he should have died 20 times.
Yeah, I know.
But Eternia's there, Elko's there,
Yeah.
and really save him. But wasn't quite enough, and we just saw what happens if you give Orange Logo a really early lead.
You need to support your DPS, and that's what they did really well throughout the series, but not as well as Orange Logo. And I think, Orange Logo focus on the kills. They're keeping that tactic up in all these games that we've seen them in. And since WTS, that's what they're going for, and that's how they're powered ahead. And their wins over Sizzling Hot Pressure are a little bit more confident now. Okay, we did see them pick up a game, the second game, of course. But Draz's is so powerful and Ranger on that map. That feels like, that's their map. They're not really going to be taken on it. But now they need to think about the others. Maybe they can pulling out the Ranger or something different over on those nodes maybe. And also the Necro bringing him back. But I'm not too sure, But I might have been other things. Some tiredness might have come in. And also some other factors. And Orange Logo are in that situation where they've been in high pressure, high intense places where they can really deal with it in a different way.
I actually think that on the second map there, teams are actually going to have to really start considering what they want to do against Draz's on that map, because kill him. But how are you going to kill him? They were trying to get on top of him. I mean, exactly like with Tage trying to just teleport onto him, trying to do a lot of burst damage. Yep. It worked once or twice, but not really enough to actually be confident about all the decisions, I would say. What is it that you can really do against a Ranger in that kind of situation on the Faux-Fire, Nick?
Well, on Faux-Fire, it's definitely more difficult than on other maps, just because you don't have these cover to hide behind.
Yeah.
You need to break that line of sight. You can either do that with a really good stealth engage, Thief putting down a refuge, take your Mesmer with you, take your Guardian with you, and try and get a quick burst on him. Then, especially with a stealth engage, probably the reaction is not going to come fast enough to support him. Another thing we saw work, which I think teams don't take enough, they don't do it enough, is to go away from the mid-cap. We saw on the second map, Orange Logo kept on going for the mid-cap, actually gave up the double outer point cap in favor for the mid-contest. So, I mean, okay, it's a big point. It's hard to lose afterwards. You might think in the old meta, but at the moment, every point can be decapped because nobody bothers to defend anymore.
Everyone done that tonight, though, didn't they? On that that mid node, they just kept going there, and then just knowing that Drazzy just had free range, it was just he was pew-pewing, using that second ability on the longbow, and he was so effective. Remember, he knocked corpses away when they were trying to res. It's not just. People talk about, Power Ranger being so offensive and so useful in terms of just the full damage, but they're not thinking about the other things, using the knockback 4, using that 5th skill to cleave over your own teammates' bodies so that they can't get cleaved down themselves. And also, they start falling, and we saw that happen numerous times, using offensive DPS as a support. And it was a good move from those guys, and, didn't get them all the way.
No.
Almost.
Well, regardless of that, today's monthly final is over. Congratulations, obviously, to Orange Logo. Moving on forwards, as always, they're our WTS champions, and once again, they are our monthly champions here at the Go4GuildWars2 series. And that pretty much does it for us here. Any last words, gentlemen, before we head off? Nick, do we have more Go4 weeklies coming up anytime soon?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah?
It's still March. That isn't over yet. So next Sunday, Go4GuildWars2 Weekly Cup coming up on this channel.
Awesome stuff. And any last words from you, Dan, as you venture over to Cologne once again?
Other than congratulations to the teams, thank you for turning. I think we're going to have an exciting month next week. Next month as well. Teams like Salt as well, we're looking forward to see coming back, and I think we're going to see a stronger performance from the Sizzling Hot Pressure, as well as maybe some counters for Draz, so he's going to have to look out next time, I think. Yeah, that's going to be very interesting. Well, aside from that, it's been a pleasure bringing you the Go4GuildWars2 monthly final once again. I hope you've enjoyed our new little setup here. A huge thank you to Nick for joining us on the panel as well. And that does it from us, so we'll see you next time for more Go4GuildWars2 monthly action.